You didn't cause the pain. You didn't stop it either. You told yourself that made you innocent. But in this system, neutrality isn't protection. It's participation. Welcome to Floor 5, where silence echoes louder than screams. Floor 5 sits above desperation and below domination. 80,000 South Korean won per minute. Not enough to feel powerful, just enough to feel safe. They aren't starving, they aren't in charge, and they use that in-between space to disappear. They don't trade, they don't rebel, they don't lead, they spectate, and convince themselves that staying out of it is the moral choice. But the 8 show doesn't let you hide. It forces you to watch. And then it asks, what did you do with what you saw? The person on Floor 5 didn't start quiet. She started hopeful. She tried to help, tried to connect, tried to soften the edges of the game. But kindness in this place makes you a target. And when her trust was broken, she folded inward. She doesn't scream, she whispers. She doesn't hoard or beg, she observes. Not because she's cold, but because she's protecting what's left. She tells herself she's being strategic, that staying neutral is the only way to survive. But neutrality is a myth, because in this building, every floor is part of the equation. If you don't help, you're protecting the ones who hurt. If you don't speak, you're amplifying the silence that lets cruelty thrive. Floor 5 becomes a buffer, a cushion between the pain below and the privilege above. But she's not safe, because when the system collapses, she's too weak to fight back and too late to pick a side. Her sin isn't action, it's avoidance, and the system knows it. You've worked with Floor 5, lived with them, maybe you've been them. The coworker who says, that's not my problem. The friend who watches injustice and says, I stay out of drama. The person who sees the fire and quietly shuts the door. But doing nothing is doing something, because systems like this don't need everyone to be cruel. They just need most people to be quiet. Silence isn't neutral. It's a side. Next episode, Floor 6, where ambition becomes armor and strategy turns into self-erasure. But before that, ask yourself, have you ever looked away because it was easier? Comment if you've ever regretted saying nothing. Send this to someone who thinks being neutral means being good. And remember, they're not watching because they care. They're watching because they're bored.